Right. And again, welcome to our second session of the Entrepreneurial Financial Inclusion Program, sponsored thanks to Union Bank and in partnership with New Economics for Women and USC. We welcome you today, Tuesday, to this program. Very happy to have you back here again. We have a very exciting program for you today. But before that, as always, I want to remind everybody that this is a safe space to learn, to share, and definitely to participate. We want to make sure that we have your questions answered. So please place them on chat or raise your hand up. There's a little signal here where it says reactions, and myself or Ana Sofia Garay will make sure that we get you on to speak with either myself, with our guest speakers, and or with any of the participants here today. Again, stay muted until it's your opportunity to speak. And we did send you a link at the beginning. This is a pre-survey that is very important that we have you complete. This helps us serve you, and this helps us create programs around some of your needs. So during the midpoint of our session today, we're going to take a few minutes to do it. It should only take you 2 or 3 minutes. This is very important data for us, not only for the purposes of funding the program, but to make sure that we create the resources that you need for yourself. With that said, each week you will be, again, we will be bringing forth valuable information to create or enhance your current business plan. For today's agenda, we will be defining the terms that are important to your idea. We will also do terms that are important to a business plan. We get to do breakout sessions today with some of the USC mentors, myself and Ana, where we'll be able to interact and engage and share about your plan and talk about openly about what are some of the ideas that you have, and give your presentation again like we did last time. Remember, the presentation is about saying your name. You know, my name is Sarah Rubalcaba, and telling us what you do. I am a consultant in marketing, and even letting us know who is, oh, there is Sara. Hola, Sara, bienvenida. And with that, we're also going to talk about how are you going to make money, or are you making money? A very important thing in business, to make sure that you're not losing money, but that you are actually making money and making a good livelihood for yourself. I even wore a shirt today because you guys are all queens. You probably can't see it, but she has a crown. There she is. She's my favorite, Audrey Hepburn. And I wore Audrey Hepburn with this crown because she is her own, she's her own brand, or was her own brand. And for those of you who know her, you know, she's a very classic woman. And I think we do have a hands up from Quentin. So Quentin, please go ahead.
Yeah, Sarah, because you're going to go through business planning tonight, we actually license a business planning software that I'd like to offer up to all of the participants who would be able to use it for 30 days for free.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So we use a platform called LivePlan, LIVEPLAN. It typically costs about $2,000 to go through that process. But because you're presenting business planning tonight, I'll offer that up to everyone on the phone who's interested to be able to go through it within the next 30 days. And you know, as we look at business planning and laying out a process really that goes hand in hand with this work for the next 5 weeks, 30 days should actually be enough for you to get your basic ideas down and in a format that could help. So if everyone that's interested would, I'm not sure if Vivian is on tonight, but if she is, what would be the easiest way? I guess the easiest way would be to just reach out to Ana Sofia. And if Ana Sofia can roll that up to me, then I'll get everyone going on LivePlan.
Fantastic. And for everyone on the workshop tonight, Quentin Strode is the Chief Operating Officer for New Economics for Women, that offer a lot of resources. So that's another website that I would love for you to take a look at. I was actually perusing through it today as well, see what I could find. But that is such a wonderful offer. I hope you all take advantage of it. I will have Ana Sofia post the email that we have for the program. So you can email her, letting her know you're interested in Quentin's very generous offer. So thank you for that, Quentin. And so I also want to say hello to a special guest from Union Bank. Flory Martinez will be with us throughout the program. Flory, if you want to say hello. So you're on mute, but that's Flory. I just want her to say hello so you know who she is.
Hello, welcome everyone. So
Thank
happy
you,
to have
Flory.
you all. Make sure you take notes, ask questions, don't be shy.
Thank you, Flory. So she is with the Corporate Social Responsibility at Magnolia Place Financial Education Center with Union Bank. So another resource as well for all of you lovely ladies. So I want to start today when we're going to be talking about the business model with a guest and friend and somebody that is to me very inspirational. So before she comes on, I want to let you know a little bit about Tyler Skinner. Tyler is a serial entrepreneur who has reinvented herself again and again to create and cultivate connections and community collaborations that enhance social and cultural shifts by bringing people together to believe in something bigger than themselves and to see the magic in motivation. She currently serves as a corporate partner chair for NABO National Organization for Women Business Owners in Central Coast Chapter. She is dedicated to leadership development and launching a platform, Women Making Waves, comprised of dedicated women who are committed to co-creating a future where they can personally and professionally emerge to lead in a new way. Tyler Skinner, thank you for joining us on your busy schedule while your daughter is doing her dance lesson. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm literally in the car, and I did ask you, Sarah, if that was okay. So I totally appreciate everyone just giving me that grace. That is true. That is how you roll, especially with young children and running a business. You do it from anywhere.
Love that. So you and I had a conversation about various things about being a solopreneur, and we actually bumped into each other when we were walking out of the gym. And one thing that kind of really caught my attention is when you said, I spent months working on a project that I just finished. Why am I not so excited? Why am I so just like burned out? So today, as we begin building the business model, one of the things that I want to make sure we all incorporate is that self-care. So I want you to share a little bit about your experience with your last project and what would you do differently?
That's a great one. I'm so glad you brought this up because this is definitely, sometimes I feel like we live in a burnout culture, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs and what we're doing in business. And it's always this hustle, go, finish, and be successful that way. And I think that what I've learned over time, and I'm still learning. I'm a lifelong learner, first and foremost. That's one of the things that I really treasure is always learning from people and experiences. So I'm really happy that you're bringing this up because yes, I felt like I dipped into a little bit of my old habits, I would say, and doing that. You got to finish, you got to get this done. It felt like almost I finished this thing, I accomplished it, but I put in so much time and effort, so much strain. There was so much going into it that I felt almost like I didn't have anything left to give because what I realized in the process was I wasn't practicing filling up my cup back again. I was pouring out and creating content creation, working on. So what we did is essentially this launch. I mean, that's what you're talking about when you say the project. It's launching a membership-based platform for Women Making Waves, which is brand new to me, 100%. It's taking an in-person model, an in-person type business, and then bringing it to a virtual space, but allowing this community to grow in a way that it could be global, that it's hosted on an offsite platform. There's all kinds of things on the back end. There's tech involved. There's website development. There's all these things that I had no clue about really and had to learn along the way. And by doing it, being in it, but I gave a lot. I gave a lot of my heart and soul into it because I care so deeply about women. I care so deeply about business. I care what we're doing together in our communities, how we're building this. And so I gave, but then I had forgotten along the way a little bit. I've got to give to myself too, or else it's going to go by the wayside. It's not. So that's when I meant I'm not fulfilled. Like when I felt that I should have been, I guess in a way, part of me wanted to jump up and dance and celebrate. But then there was another part of me that just felt like I have nothing. I'm really catatonic. I'm just sitting here stagnant. There's nothing else. And that was an odd feeling for me. So I definitely had to take a pause and go within and recognize, pull out my tools from my tool belt and self-care. Because I think for self-care for women, especially, we think that self-care is all spas and pedicures, right? We think that it's doing those kind of things but self-care can be taking a 5-minute break. Self-care is breathing, self-care is taking that time for yourself out, setting boundaries with people, turning off your phone at a certain time. These kind of things are things I don't know if everybody practices, or we all might know about, but we don't always put into practice. So it's that reminding myself, I had to do that to be able to feel that joy, that true joy of succeeding and finishing that project, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I think you and I were involved in a podcast also about women and empowering women. And one of the things that kept on coming up is, sometimes during a project, you need to kind of step back and relook at this project and say, is this something that is still fulfilling me? Am I going on the right pathway with this? And you talked a lot about rejuvenate. You talked a lot about reevaluate. Can you talk to us about, during the process of building this business, what were your stop moments? What were your stop moments where you said, wait, let's kind of look back at this and see, let's reevaluate as part of your business plan? What were some important points?
I think for me, it's a constant evolution. That's one of the things that I had to learn kind of the hard way, which was it's a reevaluation all the time and being open. I think that was another thing, is being really open-minded. You have your plan. Your plan is really important, obviously, but you also need to be able to adapt. And I think that even before COVID, we always have been shifting. We always have learned, especially as entrepreneurs. We're always on the fly thinking of new creative ways to do things. And those were kind of along that process of doing this membership. I had to say, like, check in with my team a couple times and have them pair it back to me, challenge me a little bit. I said, hey, challenge me on this, because I don't, and I offered up ideas to my team. They're all over the place. I was able to bring in women and other mentors and say, I need to be challenged on this. And that was helping me understand new perspectives and allowing myself to not just be in my own head and feel like I had to go it alone and I had to figure it all out by myself. I could say, okay, I want support in this. I need help in this. Those were kind of things that helped me along the way, touch points of being able to shift and adapt, with saying this is an evolution because we're working with human beings. We're offering a service to people. And so people are constantly changing. So we have to as well. And we have to be really feeling into what are they needing right now? What are they seeking? What's going on with the world, and check in. And that's what I think is really, sometimes we often forget those things because we are really have focused on that one path, that one thing. And so I just want to challenge everybody. This is something I do it to myself. Often I do those check-ins where I question, I stop and I question, like, does this feel right at a gut level, but also with my team or with some people in our community. And we do a lot of polling and surveying, things of that nature, because we care. We want to hear from people what they're feeling. And I think those are some ways that really help you gain that perspective to be open and say, ooh, let's take a look at this. We can fix this. We can change this. I've been challenged by people on health and wellness, for example, where I had a panel of women that were, frankly, all white, and that was one of the things I was challenged on is, are you saying that health and wellness is just this? That was something that I had to look at and say, oh, am I being inclusive? Am I focused on these things? Am I looking at diversity? So those are the type of things where I could bring up to say, this is important, that I want to meet other people. Can you share with me someone you might know that I should be speaking to? Is there someone out there that I could bring on a panel? So those are just an example I want to give where I said, ooh, okay, I have to look in the mirror and say that was something I need to definitely own up to and take responsibility for and accountability for.
Thank you, Tyler. And please, to our participants, if you have any questions, either raise your hand or on chat. One of the final questions that I have. I've talked a lot about rejection is redirection. And along the way, as we're building, when things happen, it seems like our self-confidence comes down. What advice could you give to our participants when something happens along the way and they hit a bump?
Ooh, the bumps are always going to be there. That's all I can say. And I think that it's how you deal with it, I think is the biggest thing. But there's various ways. And I say, first and foremost, give yourself grace. I think that's something that I have to say is really important, is just allow yourself to walk through that and feel those feelings and not be afraid of that and not beat yourself up. Because I tell women this a lot too with our stories. We're storytellers on our platform. And we talk about this a lot. I said, your story is part of you, but it doesn't define you. So in that same token, use that, say, look, this is something I could learn from. Is this an experience? Do I need to do something a little differently? Do that check-in, but don't let that define you. Don't let that be the say, I'm a failure. I didn't do this right, and sink down into that hole, because you need to give yourself that time and space to process it. But then you can move through it, move beyond it, because you have to reconnect to that why. That's another thing that I can suggest, is one of the things that I work with women on is reconnecting to that spark. Like, what started this in the first place? Why did you even want to do this? And find ways to go back and do that again. If you're making, I'm just giving examples, but if you're making candles, go back, and if your business gets so big and you're out there distributing and you're doing all these things, go back and start making some candles yourself again. Go back and create. Go back to the roots of where this all started, maybe in your garage or started somewhere with a friend. Go back to that. That's really important to kind of reconnect with yourself.
I like that, Tyler. One more question, because we are talking about building a business plan here. As you begin looking at this new project, what were the key items that you included in your business plan? If you could name your top three, like as you were looking, I said, I have this vision. What was the first thing? Do I call this person? I mean, what was your, if you can give some tips on, I'm starting a business, what do I do first? Where do I go?
I think the first thing is you have to get really clear on who your why and your mission, like what you're doing. And that was one of my first things, was like, what is my big vision? I did like one of those big whiteboard sessions where I just blew it all out there on a paper. And it was a big bunch of ideas, like messy ideas and a lot of things. And then, yep, exactly. Sara's got it. And I did that. And I did those. I do those vision boards. I do those big things because I'm a dreamer. I'm a creator. I love it. So I put it all out there. And then I started to compartmentalize those things. I started to take pieces out and go, okay, what things work right now? What thing could be 6 months from now? What's something that might be down the line? Does this seem like it's that priority? And then I started to break it down even further and say, now what people, because I'm a firm believer in collaborations and people, we can't go it alone. So I started looking at what resources do I have in my tool belt already, in my, my repertoire. Who do I know? And where can I ask for that assistance? Sometimes it's a local women's business center. Sometimes it's organizations like this that we're on the call today. You ask and you find those resources that can help you to really formulate that into a formalized plan. Because some things we don't have to all know all things. We don't have to be the accountant, the social media director, the marketing manager. I mean, that's just impossible for us to wear that many hats, and you're going to drive yourself crazy. So really find those people. Is it getting an intern? Is it hiring someone? Maybe it's you doing it or a family member. I mean, there's a lot of options, but I break it down that way. Go macro to micro, really, but let yourself have the macro moment, the big dream, because that's super important.
I like that. Macro to micro. I like that. Big picture, and then like it connects to what you just said about if you're a candle maker, you do the candle, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm already a big company, I'm a big distributor, but I forgot that my passion was actually developing the scents of the candles and remembering that passion. I want to ask if anyone has a question at this time. I love what you're saying.
Question, Tyler.
Lori, go ahead.
I can't see you, but I'm going to try to find you on my screen here.
Go ahead, Lori.
Okay.
So, great information. Thank you for sharing your experience and how you build your business, right? So, you talked about something very important, right? How to kind of put a team together, right? Or either families or interns. So the question will be like, let's say like because obviously you're barely building the business, right? How do you approach those people to be part of your team? Especially like if you don't, obviously I'm just throwing out there. What if you barely started that you don't have the funds that you probably won't pay them at the beginning, so because you're building that business? How do you approach them? What do you say? Like, be part of my business. We're not making any income right now, or yeah. How do you find
Yeah.
those people? What do you say?
Actually, that was one of the questions here. It says, Latanya, I hope I said it correctly. If you
Yeah.
could, where are you? It's the, do you want to share your question with the team? Okay, I'll read it for her. It says, hello, for an online boutique.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, there she goes.
Sorry.
So you just started an online boutique. It's a new site right now. And
Cool.
as Flori was saying, there's no budget for marketing.
Mhm.
That's the first thing is, I just spoke to somebody and I said, well, how do you do it? And I said, well, sometimes I give them you can give them a dress to somebody that does marketing. I said, why don't we interchange services? And there's somebody who does that I met, and they interchange services. I don't know, Tyler, for you, but joining organizations and just putting out there, hey, would somebody be willing to exchange services? I also do this, but to connect with people, I don't know what you would say to that, Tyler.
I'm a big firm believer in the barter system and in trading. I think that has been that's actually what I did. Starting out is I did two things. I had interns and I also did some trade. So I had mentors along the way. There were other women in my life, like Sarah, who would come into my life and say, look, I know how to do this. I want to offer this to you because I believe in what you're doing. I believe in you. And I see what you're fighting for and what you're trying to accomplish. And I want to offer this piece to you. Maybe it's for a month, maybe it's for a few months. You set kind of parameters around it. And I think it's communication. You have honest conversations with people in your inner circles. There's people in your family, your neighborhood, your church, everywhere that you could be talking to that might have those services, or they might know somebody that has that piece. But if you don't speak out what you need, I think as women, oftentimes we shy away from asking, especially when we're running a business. We're like, oh, I got to do all this. I can figure this out. I've got it all. It's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to say, look, I'm missing this piece. Do any of you know anything I can do with this? And trade. You can do coaching, trading. You can do trading like with this boutique. If you need the marketing, maybe you can offer some classes or something for them. There's got to be something there, but it starts with a conversation and asking, saying, this is what I'm looking for. Here's the scope. This is what I really need right now. This would be game changing for me. And I'm building this business. And can you offer that to me? Or do you know someone that can? And then you just figure it out. And you'd be surprised. People love to help and they love to be part of something. But I think setting those boundaries and those parameters are important. So it's not feeling taken advantage of or anything else. It's like, hey, I'm willing to do this as long as you are. Let's do 3 months or let's do a month. And what you need to get you that boost, get you going.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, I know you have to go get your daughter from dancing because it's almost 6:30. So I want to say thank you for joining us. We love the conversation. I like this real conversation with women, women entrepreneurs. So thank you. And we hope to have you back in the next one.
Thank you so much, Sada, for this opportunity. I love to share. And ladies, keep doing what you're doing. You're all making waves and doing amazing things in your communities and businesses and lives. You are changing the game. So just don't forget that.
Maybe before you leave, you can put on chat your website so people can check out what you're doing.
Yeah, I will. Here, I'll do it really quick.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Well, one of the things that on this boutique, if it's a clothing boutique, I'm already excited. My background is marketing, so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she can do fashion shows, and this is all be part of your business model. It's like, how am I going to get and market my product out there? And I said, well, do a fashion show, or the next nonprofit gala offer a fashion show. That was just some ideas. We're going to be there. She is. It's womenmakingwaves.com. So it's women-making-waves.com. So for you to check out her business and get an idea how she developed her portal. So the next thing we're going to jump into, we're going to post before I get started, a PowerPoint. We're going to delve into some terms, and then we're going to do a breakout room after a 5-minute break. And so if nobody has any questions, I'm going to delve right in. If you do have questions during the PowerPoint, please place them in the chat, and then I will stop the PowerPoint so that I can answer the questions. So let me share this.
Actually, Sarah, I have
Yes.
a comment to make
Yes.
also. So regarding also getting interns from a recent graduate perspective, there are a lot of students that also want to get experience. So as a business, a small business or a small startup, you can always sell it to the students and they will get the experience. And I mean, there's a trade-off as we talked about before, but I know that a lot of students are also looking for different experiences. And when I started my own podcast, what my co-host and I did, we emailed, I believe about 50 professors from different universities, and we got 20 applications in just 3 days. So you can also do that as well. Just a thought.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share the screen here. And there's nothing to share. How about that? Give me a second. See what happened in my PowerPoint here. Okay. Okay, give me a second for some reason. Oh. All right. I might have you pull it up. It's not.
Yeah, no problem. I can do that.
It's popping up here. Let's see if it does. I'm going to try one more time. That's interesting. It did it right before and
There
okay.
you go. We can see it.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that it's popping up the right way. Okay, it should be working now. Are you able to see it? Not yet.
No, yeah.
This is technical difficulties.
I can pull it up. I have it right here.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Let me get rid of this and we'll get started. Okay, so again, welcome to session 2. And we're going to recap a little bit of last week. And again, just like some of our participants here have their backdrop here, where I do all my writing. This is, I like this picture because some people think differently. Some people need to put big poster. Some people can do it with the journal. So keep in mind, however you like to strategize your business, there's many ideas out there, and I'm sure it'll be very unique to you. So last week, we talked about value proposition, competitive advantage, and minimum. Today, we will talk about minimum viable product. Now, these are, for some, if you've never heard it, I would really recommend that you go and you tap into a video in YouTube and really learn about it because it'll give you some ideas about business. This is just sort of a taste for you to expand and learn. And don't look at these words and say, oh, these are big words. We're going to try to break these down to just the basics. I always call, let's keep it real. So if it doesn't make any sense, ask the questions or do continue to educate yourself on a YouTube video. I love YouTube. That's how I like to learn a lot. So we'll talk about these business words, as they call them, value proposition, your competitive advantage, and I have a misspelling, and a minimum viable product. So from last week, we talked a little bit about a competitive advantage. What is your business or product offering that others don't? So I hope you all have your notebook because we want to make sure you all take notes on the same document to always have a resource to look back at. Is it quality? Is it price? Is it your service? Is it the customer experience? Is it people keep on coming up to you because you make the best cakes and said, you know what, I've never tasted a strawberry shortcake like yours. And you tell them, well, actually, I grow my own organic strawberries in the fields of my family's farm. You know, that's a competitive advantage, right? That nobody has, and it's giving them that sweet strawberry homemade taste. So that's a little bit about competitive advantage. If I go too fast, please let me know. A lot to share, but it's all about thinking about your product or service. You know, what is unique? Some people call the competitive advantage SWOT analysis. If you've never heard of this term, it's a very busy business term. That's the way I call it. But SWOT stands for your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. You know, the word threats is like threats. It's basically who are your competitors or your emerging competitors. Are there anything changing in the industry that you need to know about? Is there any negative press? Or are there changing attitudes towards your company when, you know, at some point it's big and all of a sudden, maybe you have a boutique and you have a different source that's not creating the same type of quality? That might be a change in customer attitudes. They say, wait a minute, the quality that I used to wear is not the same. And I'll give you an example. I ordered a MAC lipstick and it wasn't the same. It was a liquid, it was more liquidy. And I let them know. And I said, I've been ordering the same product for, you know, the last 2-3 years. And all of a sudden your quality is not the same. I stopped ordering. I said, you've lost my business. You know, and they never responded. So if somebody tells you about your product, you want to respond to them. So your strengths, there are things, again, that the company does well. It could be customer service. It could be, you know, I sent you an email, so I'm very unhappy with this new product. You know, can I change it? Can I do? Never heard back from them. That's the worst. Silence is the worst. So having a way to communicate with your customers to give you that opportunity to enhance your product is key. Quality to separate you from your competitors. Internal resources, such as skilled or knowledgeable staff when you get to that point. Then weaknesses, you know, are there things that your company lacks? We just saw an example from our team here that, you know, she wants somebody in her marketing team. And that's something that she's going to focus is I need somebody in my marketing team. I need that part I'm weak at. As am I, you know, I'm looking to redo my website. I need somebody that can help me. So thinking about what areas you're weak at so that you can focus in areas that you're strong at. Like if you're that candle maker that she was talking about, then make candles, baby, just make candles. Again, weaknesses could be resource limitations. Again, money to build. We'll talk about that in session number 5, when we talk about being prepared so that you can maybe get investors or a bank loan. So that's something we could talk about in resource limitations as far as money. So opportunities. Is there an underserved market for a specific product or service in your community? Something that somebody needs that you keep on seeing it over and over? Well, that's something that's knocking at your door as a possible opportunity. So maybe here is where you do a client analysis and start interviewing a potential client and says, you know, if I brought this product, would you be interested? And we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that in the market research on types of questions that you can ask a potential client. Then also opportunities could be found as an emergent need, again, for a product or services. And something that maybe you saw something in the media. You said, you know, I keep on seeing that there's a lack of X, Y, and Z in this area. I'm going to look into that. We talked about value proposition. Here are some questions about a value proposition, which we will actually be talking about during our breakout. A value proposition is a statement that explains what is your product or service, very simply. Why should a customer purchase your product or service. Who is your customer? What differentiates you, sets you apart, or makes you unique? We're all going to be unique, even if you have the same exact business. You're going to have a uniqueness to your product because the uniqueness comes from you. Many people will buy from you because of you, because they love the way you present your product or service. What need is your product satisfying? And are you matching the right product to the right need? Some of you said, we also have another cohort on Wednesday that's done in Spanish. So if you know any Spanish speakers, they can join us on Wednesday. But somebody said they had 3 businesses going. So if you have more than one business going, I suggest you make one solid and make sure you have the right product to the right need before you start on another plan, so that you could build different branches, but build them one at a time. So I'm going to show you a little film that kind of will explain it to you a little better. Anna, let me know, make sure the sound is good.
What is a value proposition? It is the essential articulation of the value that any organization, whether business or nonprofit, provides to its customers. Lots of people talk about value propositions. There are many differing descriptions of what constitutes a value proposition. Commonly, it describes the collection of products and services a business offers to meet the needs of its customers. It also includes the ways in which those products and services are different from competing offers. However, a value proposition is much more than just a simple articulation of the value an organization provides. It is the key foundation that underpins a business model and an essential tool for testing your business hypothesis in the world. There are 4 key elements of a good value proposition. 1. Who is the customer? Who is the value for? 2. What problem are you solving for this customer? 3. What is your solution? And how is it solving the problem? And 4. What are your differentiators? How is your solution better than what's already out there? Differentiators must be quantifiable so that they can be tested and measured with your customers. Why is this important? You need to be able to test whether the solution you're providing actually fits a need. If you can't quantify the solution to customers, you won't know whether your solution is sufficient. If it's not quite a fit, you'll want to make changes to your product early to better align it with the needs of the customer. Let's look at an example. Spring Health is a company founded by well-known social entrepreneur and thought leader Paul Pollock. He saw an opportunity to improve the health of families while significantly lowering the cost of drinking water in smaller villages in India. Let's look at the 4 elements of Spring Health's value proposition. First, the customers are rural villagers who have no reliable access to clean water. Second, the problem is that available solutions are too big and expensive relative to the demand of a smaller village. Because of this, 90% of families are drinking bad water, which makes them sick and requires costly doctor visits. Third, the solution developed was an inexpensive electrochlorinator that produces a chlorine solution, which is distributed by a motorcycle rider to each village, where the water in the village tank is treated. Sales are through a partner village shopkeeper on commission. Customers can easily get to the shop and buy water. Fourth, relative to competition, customers get water at a reasonable price, at a location convenient to their home, and with water quality assured by the company. As described in Paul's recent book, The Business Solution to Poverty, Paul and his team used their well-defined but still hypothetical value proposition to test their assumptions with customers. In that test, they found that a few of their differentiators needed modification. For example, they found that customers would pay more to have the water delivered to their homes. This became part of their differentiators. They were able to solve the last mile problem of water delivery at a price their customers can afford. A well-crafted value proposition is the first step to making sure you are solving the right problem for your customers. It allows you to test whether your customers care about the value you think you're providing. Testing your value proposition can save time and money and help you get your product to market faster.
I think that was, I'm going to put stop share. Oops. So I thought that was a good example of a value proposition, because you still, hopefully all of you had the visual where they first built a bridge that was for pedestrians. Then they realized this pedestrian bridge is not going to hold vehicles. So then they had to enhance it by producing one that would fit vehicles. Your product is much the same. You will continue to modify your product when you begin to learn more about who your customer is and what the customer is expecting and wants. And part of that is really getting to know your customer. So I'm going to continue. I think there's making sure there's no questions. For those students who aren't able to enter. Okay. So I'm going to continue to do the PowerPoint. So the other term is the minimal viable product, which you will also hear as the MVP, is a term that was coined by Syncdev CEO Frank Robinson in his book, The Lean Startup. So if you are interested in delving more deeper, you can definitely get The Lean Startup, which is an interesting read. So what he said is the minimal viable product is that version of a new product which allows a team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about customers with the least effort. To me, what this is saying is, don't go out there and spend $20,000, $10,000 on a product that you haven't tested in the market. Maybe you're really excited about it. You go out and actually spend the money. And there's actually a story about a woman who spent $50,000 on a product. Then when she tried to sell it, nobody wanted her product. She never did her minimum viable product. She never did her research. So it's basically what it means is you're taking your product to a customer. You're analyzing how your product is solving a gap in industry or solving a need by creating the most basic product, testing it, and then improving on it. As Tyler said earlier, our speaker, you are going to constantly be enhancing and reevaluating and rejuvenating and innovating your business. In essence, you have your own lab to test and improve at home. The young woman who said she has a boutique, we could talk a little bit and use her as an example, if you don't mind, is she can have a boutique party at her house and invite different people, not just family and friends, because she wants the real answers. And she could put together a little survey, said, would you purchase this? Yes or no? Why wouldn't you? What kind of product are you seeking? Perhaps, I don't know if your product is casual, and we could talk more directly to you, casual or shishi for night. So this is an opportunity to ask the type of questions. How much would you pay for this product? What is it that you're looking for? For example, I would say, if it's polyester and it's itchy, I can't wear it. It just makes me itch. So it's a good opportunity for her to test her product and how much the client would pay for it. Same thing with a cake. Maybe you both have a party. If you're a cake maker, you have a party at the boutique and you deliver your cakes. And they could taste the cake and you could say, what do you think of the cake? It's too sweet. It's not sweet enough. I would love it if it had this. And you can get an idea of how to enhance and improve your cakes or your cookies. As far as consultants, we'll talk about that as well. Put simply, it is wise not to place big dollars investing into a product until you know it works and it is what the customer wants. And finally, minimum viable product, your MVP. Know your value propositions. That's where it starts. Once you know your value proposition, the second thing is you want to secure customer feedback. It takes the guesswork out of what the customer wants, needs, and what solution you're providing for your customer. Is there a market for your product or service? So again, before spending thousands of dollars on development or even the development of your marketing materials, we want to make sure we have clarity of what your vision and your value proposition is. And is my idea worth doing? Answering the unknowns is what good customer feedback will provide. And then the product development, your enhancement, and your innovation. And that will all continue to be part of your business development. Each time you learn more about the client, your product or service is going to be enhanced. And finally, your venture is based on solid findings. So let's say you want to try to secure some fundings for your product and you've already done your research, you know your value proposition, you have your customer feedback, and you've been working your product through the information that has been secured with it, which is factual. Any investor would love to see this information and data on how you came to how you developed your business plan and what kind of feedback and what kind of surveys and research you conducted in order to get to the place where you are now. So here's a visual example of what makes your product service viable, of a minimum viable product. For example, here's a little tire. We really can't do much with a little tire unless you want to roll it with a stick like the old days. So number 2, he adds 2 tires, still not doing anything. Number 3, he puts a cart. In this case, it looks like a cart, but let's say it was a cart. And number 4, he finally builds a viable product, which is a car, a vehicle that we all can get around it. And so it's not like that, but like this, you start off with a skateboard, you put a little handle, then all of a sudden you have, you keep on enhancing your product. Now you have a bicycle in your business. Before you know it, you have a motorcycle, and now you have a vehicle. So it keeps on creating and enhancing a product and even expanding to other different subcategories of what you're building. Now to the business model. So they call this vision the business model canvas. Some of you came in today. I don't know if you have received our one-page. It's called the one-pager business idea, from idea to possibility. We'll make sure we get that to you again. It basically talks about these 9 areas of the business model canvas. And the first one, we are going to be talking about, which we have, is your customer segments, your value proposition, customer relations, your channels of distribution, your revenue streams, your cost structure. We're going to probably talk about that, I think, in session 5, how to develop a good cost structure to ensure you're making money. What are the key resources you need for your specific business? The young lady, again, who has a boutique, her key resources are the vendors, maybe the manufacturers. Maybe she is a designer herself, or maybe she's tapping into young designers that could be developed as her key resources. And what key activities need to happen? Again, I'll bring you as an example because you rose your hand up. Key activities could be, I need to have key activities such as Facebook. I'm going to do a Facebook Live and have some of my friends come over, and we're going to do a fashion show of some of the products and have people order in that way. I'm going to open up an account on Etsy. What are your key activities? And key partners. The key partners, again, could be your vendors. It could be, if you're going to be shipping by UPS or FedEx, those would be key partners to have. Any manufacturing, whoever is manufacturing your products could also be key partners. So that's the business model canvas. Some suggestions would be, and we'll send you this on its own. Ana Sofia will make sure just to send them this. Some people create little notes on these little boxes. Some people create a big wall and start placing little sticky notes to make sure that they understand, what areas are missing and what they need. And this takes time. As our speaker was saying, Tyler, an entrepreneur, saying, you might say, I'm not going to get to the key resources until about 6 months. But I do need to work on my value proposition and customer relations and customer segments before, and that's going to take me the next 6 months. So we're going to be talking about timelines. So here's a value proposition statement, and you can write it down. It's very easy. We'll be talking about it during our breakout. So value proposition statement basically says we help businesses do what? We help businesses to the boutique. We help businesses to look fabulous at any event. And the name of the business is, and what you provide, helping customers do what? With what solution? Maybe you help customers who just don't have any idea on how to combine certain clothing items, and you help them. You're a stylist, so you're going to help them feel comfortable about the choices they make at your boutique. And that would be your differentiator. That's going to be your unique approach. And if that, you just don't let them buy a product. You want them to love their product and feel comfortable in their product. So in the breakout session, we are going to, before we do that, we're going to take a little survey and a few-minute break, but we're going to be defining your business idea and speaking to whoever is in your group about it. Talk about who your client is or who you envision your client. We talked a little bit about this last time. I said, well, I envision my client being a high earner who lives in such and such area. And as a boutique owner, I want to introduce new designer dresses that these women can wear in some galas and key business opportunities. And then we'll talk about, how do you wish to make money? How do you think you're going to be able to make your money? So let me get out of here. Anna, if you can post the survey. And while she's posting the survey, I need you all to please take the survey. As I mentioned earlier, this not only helps with funding, but it helps us to know where you're at your stage of your business and how we can help create resources around that. So she's going to put it, if you can click on the link, it'll take you to the link, and then you could do the survey and then come back. If for any reason we lose you, please go back to the Zoom link. But we will come back at 7:05, and that's when we're going to do a breakout session. Please come back to the breakout session, because that's where we're really going to gain a lot of knowledge. You'll be with your USC mentor. So I'm going to go ahead and have Anna provide that Zoom link. Click on the link. It's right there on the chat. Take a few minutes, and we'll see you back at 7:05 for the breakout session. Anna, if you could start doing the breakout session and then not break it out until we come back.
Okay, sounds good.
Hi, little Mia. Hi. Are you going to start your own business? Oh, you're on mute.
I apologize. I stepped away because my son wanted something to drink, but I came to the New Women's Economics Business Conference through the LIFT organization, and I am an inspiring interior designer. So I came to understand the business model on, like you said, customer feedback, customer marketing. I have a degree in communications and marketing, but I did demographic marketing. That's a little bit different from targeting business marketing. So I came here to meet new fellow entrepreneurs and to exchange resources. Sorry that my son came on the Zoom.
No, I was like, oh, he's trying to make his own business
He's
start.
very tech savvy. He's only 5.
There you go. You have your tech advisor right here.
Yes, he likes coding.
That's awesome.
Yes. So I was listening to Tyler's platform, and listening to the, the value proposition and the other, marketing platforms, the equations on your arguments on how to start a small business. And today is my actual first day being on the platform. So I will continue to keep coming every Tuesday and being more involved in the community.
Nice. Well, maybe he'll build your website.
Oh, this one. He's more than a website builder. He's a everything. He's my grocery guy and
my cleaner.
Hi, cutie. And what is your name?
They say Yama Xavier.
Hello, Javier.
Say hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah.
Are you an entrepreneur too?
Are you an entrepreneur? He said yes.
Yeah,
I think we all have a little bit of,
yeah, so I'm a
have a little bit
superpreneur.
of entrepreneur in ourselves.
And I went to 5 schools.
Wow. You know what
You're
you
that
are?
smart.
I'm going to tell you a new term. You're a superpreneur.
Yeah.
You're a superpreneur?
It's like a superhero, but a superpreneur.
That school was not nice and not. And I went to 5 schools were not nice.
So after the breakout session, this is a good opportunity for us to share. And so do any of the participants want to share something that really struck them or they learned something today? Raise your hand and just unmic yourself, unmute yourself. I'm going to pick Evelyn because she has this smile.
I think for me, it was like knowing that I'm not the only one that doesn't know exactly what kind of business I want to start. So I was like, oh my God, thank God I'm not the only like person out there that doesn't know like exactly what direction I want to go into.
Thank you, Evelyn. And how about you, Soleil? And tell me how you say your name correctly.
It's Soleil.
Soleil. Okay. Soleil. Yes, I can remember it. Okay.
I think for me, it's like realizing that I'm the product and trying
Tell
to
us what
figure out.
you do. Always tell us what you do. What do you do?
Sure. In my working world, I work at a nonprofit, actually with Urshel, so I'm happy she's here. I work at a nonprofit. I've done a whole bunch of different roles, from college counseling to working with foster youth to now I head up our volunteer department and work with corporations. And so I built up a lot of knowledge, so it's realizing I have that to offer maybe to other nonprofits who are struggling. I do get asked to be put onto boards, like nonprofit boards, but life is expensive. So I need to charge for all this knowledge that I've accumulated. And then also like bring this knowledge back to like the families that we serve. Urshel and I, Urshel is amazing. She does employment services for families. So I'm hoping to learn enough information to share this knowledge with colleagues and other families who are like, I have this great idea, or maybe they haven't, they're street vendors and they haven't like learned how to go through the hoops yet. So to anyone else, like it's like knowledge is power. And if I can be a conduit to it, to other people, so be it.
That's beautiful, Soleil, because what Soleil has just said is she's given value to the years of work that she has put in there. And that's her value. And it sounds like she's already developing from her mission and her vision. And you could hear it in her voice and her passion. So sometimes, ladies, I want to tell you, don't ever make an excuse for your side hustle, ever. It is important that we diversify our income in different ways. It is important that we fulfill not only paying our bills, but our passions. And sometimes eventually our passions will start paying the bills. And it may take years, but in the interim, you continue to flow and you continue to meet the right people and put yourself in the right places. As I mentioned, and I'll mention again, you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And these 5 people should be your board of directors. They should be the ones that you know have your back and will provide support. We're all going to fall. We don't want to be solopreneurs. We want to be superpreneurs. We want to be able to take care of ourselves while taking care of business, while taking care of our side hustle. So it's a lot, but the way you juggle it, I had a vision 2 days ago. I don't know what you call this juggler, juggler that has all kinds of balls on the thing. And I said, oh my gosh, how many balls do I have up in the air? I'm exhausted because I can't stop because I'll drop a ball. So then I went to my board, and on the other side, there's balls. And I said, okay, these are all my balls. We have our balls on the inside. We're just like, and I looked at all the balls and what they represented in my life. And I said, is it time to X out some of these balls? Because they're heavy. I'm tired of doing this, right? I'm tired of doing this. When you start removing those items from your life, be it a person, a thing, saying yes to everything. Yes, I'm going to volunteer. Yes, I'm going to go to your house. Yes, I'm going to go to the family thing. When you really need an hour of sleep, an hour of planning out your strategic plan for your business, an hour of just being you, all this time that you're driving to the family event, you don't even want to be there, but you go because you feel obligated. Well, your obligation should be first to yourself, because when you are fulfilled and when you give yourself the time to work on the projects that fulfill you, because what happens is we spend most of the day doing things we have to do. I got to do this. I got to go to work. I got to pay the bills. I got to go to this meeting. I got to take my child to school. I got to do this. When you look at your chart, when you look at your calendar, I want you to do me one favor in your journal. On the left side, you're going to say, this is what I have to do. On the right side, I want you to put, this is what I really want to do. I really want to sit today in a hot tub and read a book. I really just want to go for a walk. I really want to talk to a friend uninterrupted. To me, I call these your moments of deliciousness. We do not give ourselves enough deliciousness in our lives. Now, what I want you to do, the left side says, and you could put it as a column, what I have to do every day. The right side says what I would love to do. Now, on the third column on a separate page said, how can I take one of my deliciousness and incorporate it in my day with what I have to do? When you give yourself something that you want to do, and it could be 10, 20, an hour, whatever time you have for something that you want to do. And it could just be, I just want to sit here and look at my plan and really think about what I want to do with my plan. Instead of being somewhere where you don't want to be or when you shouldn't be, instead of saying yes to something that's not fulfilling you or taking you on your next step, that third column is going to incorporate what you have to do and must do and a little bit of what you want to do. Maybe it means I got to get up 15 minutes, 20 minutes before everybody else, or I just need to do this before I go to work. I just want to read, because that's what I've been lacking. I said, for me, it's I like to read, I like to journal. Journaling every day is what kind of gets everything out and put it together. So I know I've gone over, but I think it's important that we share as you're developing your business plan. I always want to leave this class by asking you this question. What action plan will you take this week to move your project forward? You can put it in the chat room. You could put it in your notebook. What one thing will you focus on? And the second thing is, where in your calendar are you going to put time to do the one thing? Because if you're like me, if it's not on my calendar, and I use both my phone's calendar and I use a physical calendar, which I have here, because I like to see everything written. This is an empty one, but I like to see everything written, and my goals are right here. Like, what am I going to do this week? So put your time. It could be 10, 15 minutes, Tuesday and Thursdays. It's my planning. But if you don't put it in your calendar, guess what? It's not going to happen. You could put appointments. You could, for if you have kids, your kids, you could put appointments to see the boyfriend, the girlfriend. But when do you make an appointment called Maya appointment? And is that how you say it? Is it Mia or Maya? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
It's Maya, but in Japanese it would be Mia, but it's Maya.
But in Spanish, Mia means mine. So, okay, Mia.
Mia, but all my life people would say Mia Maya, and I just went with it. Like,
Okay, wonderful. So the one action item, what are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to do for your business? I'd like to close it out today. And I have a couple of chats. Great. Developing a new internship. It's pay yourself first. I like that. One thing you will focus on. Okay, so one thing you will focus on for your business. Yes, this week. Just one thing. Don't say, oh, I got to do the marketing plan. I got to do the business plan. We will resend the one-page business idea to possibility and the action checklist, Anna, to all the participants. And we're going to post the survey one more time. Please complete the survey. That really helps us with funding and getting to know your business so that we could provide those type of resources. So we're going to put that in the chat room now. Please click on the link. Have a safe night, a restful night, and may you have a good action plan for this week. Bye. Click on the survey. Click on the survey. Don't leave without the survey.
Oh my God,